Sometimes it can be hard to find a quick, easy meal that is both healthy and tastes good. One great option, I think, that kind of gets all the food groups and provides some protein, some carbs, and is filling is soup. I like canned soup. This is super inexpensive, very practical for college students. And I like canned soup better than like a ramen or something because here we're going to get chicken in here. There's some vegetables. It's just all around better for you. It's lower in sodium than like, a packaged ramen. So this is a great little candidate for something to have for like lunch. For me personally, paired with, I'm going to pair it with some frozen chicken nuggets, most likely. One thing I like to focus on when buying canned soup is the total fat content. Like I was saying, with all the foods I eat, I try and focus on eating things that are lower in fat and higher in protein. This is not the best example, but this is like kind of a decent example of what I'm looking for. I want the protein level to be higher than the fat content. And this is a good little, giving me a whole meal that's going to fill me up, get me to the end of the day. The most important factor when it comes to diet is going to be balance. It's always okay to have those things that you really want to have as long as you're balancing it out throughout the week, throughout the day, with some healthy things as well. So, if I do want to eat Wendy's, I want to have fast food, then earlier in the day I'm going to make sure I'm eating really healthy, and maybe later in the day I'm not going to eat so unhealthy. After I eat my Wendy's, I'll probably have something more healthy like a meal prep, something that I'm tracking, keeping track of how much food and how many of each macronutrient I'm getting, just to keep that good balance, to keep my body healthy. With that, I'm going to air fry some frozen chicken nuggets here. I'm going to show you what we're looking at on the back. Also here, something I focused on when purchasing is that the total fat content is far lower than the protein content, because this is technically a protein source. It is chicken. So I was looking for something that had more protein than anything else on the back. You can see these are lightly breaded, and that's reflected here with the total carbs only being 11 grams, 6 grams of fat. I could find a leaner cut of chicken, but that would be sacrificing the flavor. So this is a compromise for me. Air fryer's ready to go. This is about a serving of the chicken nuggets. I'm not trying to go crazy and have a bunch of food right now. I just got out of class. I'm looking to have a quick snack. The air fryer is a great option because I'm not adding extra oil or fats by frying the food. Instead, the air fryer just kind of heats it up, keeps it true to what the nutrition facts say on the back. Here I have a pretty typical afternoon snack slash lunch sort of situation. I got my chicken nuggets, some barbecue sauce, and I got my this is some soup right here. These are some frozen dumplings that I love, pot stickers. You kind of cook them up in a pan real quick. I love frozen foods because they last a while, and you can have this, and it's super inexpensive to keep. You freeze it and you have it for a couple months, maybe a month, whatever. And it's food that lasts, and on the back it's not the healthiest thing, 6 grams of fat, but as you can see, the protein is higher than the fat still. So we're getting 6 grams of fat, 12 grams of protein. I just get out of the gym. There's a lot of carbs here, but that's okay for me right now. I'm replenishing myself, and I'm only gonna have 2 servings. So, it's kind of like a little special treat. I'm not super hungry, but I want something that tastes good. This is a great option. Easy to make, right out of the freezer. Here I got some frozen chicken dumplings I got. They're pretty great, I think the key thing when looking for things to eat after the gym or snacks to have during the day is just to look at the back of things and make sure you're keeping yourself up to date with the amount of fats that you're consuming in a day, and how much fat is in each thing you're eating, and how much protein and carbs as well. You don't have to track your food, but I think mindful eating goes a long way. You can't expect to always be able to eat out or have frozen and prepared foods, So throughout the week, I feel like it's very important to meal prep and have meals ready for when you need them. And I think for me, when I meal prep, I like to focus on cooking my protein source and then putting it over a carb source when I actually want to eat it. So A great one that I really love is making meat sauce with ground beef and using some pretty, simple ingredients that are inexpensive and cheap to buy in large quantities. The first step is going to be to heat your pan to a medium heat and add cooking spray to the pan. And then I'm going to take a little bit of organic tomato paste and a little bit of minced garlic. About equal parts, not too much of each. This is all going to get drained out. Now I'm going to add a little over a pound of 88% lean ground beef. You want to break up your beef and then add a little bit of Italian seasoning. Once that's cooking, you're going to add a little bit of crushed tomatoes with some liquid, and we're going to cover it. You're going to let a little bit of crushed tomatoes, add some liquid, and cover, and let the meat brown. After you when it's about halfway cooked through, I like to come through and add a little bit of spice, some crushed red pepper, decent amount of that, and some paprika. This is for it to get cooked in because I'm going to drain out the oil. Now I'm going to strain the fat out of that beef. Essentially when I do this, I like to try and pull most of it away. See what we're dealing with here? You can take a paper towel and dunk it, or you can physically drain it with a strainer. Now what I'm going to do is take the beef and strain the fat out. I'm going to take the strainer and the slotted spoon, scoop up the beef into the strainer. Kind of want to just scoop the beef up little by little, draining the fat out with the spoon, throw it in the strainer, and let all that fat drip back out into the pan. And eventually you'll just be left with the fatty liquid that you just cooked off. So what it should look like, you got your beef, all that fatty liquid, we're gonna just kind of dump in the trash right now. Then you want to add that beef back into the pan without cleaning the pan, leaving that residue on the bottom as a kind of like the oil for the base of your sauce. So you're gonna take the rest of that first can of crushed tomatoes, and add a second can as well, along with the remainder of your tomato paste. Now I'm adding a second can of crushed tomatoes here. This should cover all your meat. And just mix it all up. And you can leave this covered for a couple minutes, and we're gonna add some seasonings and some cheese, a little bit of milk. Once you let that sit for a minute and it starts to steam, we're gonna take the lid off. It should be bubbling. We're gonna add in a little bit more paprika, just a couple shakes, and just a touch of crushed red pepper because this was mostly taken out when we drained it. And we're also gonna add a little bit of low-fat, 1% low-fat milk to help the thickening because the sauce is very thick at this point, and to increase the volume so you can use this throughout the week and have enough. Yeah, about like a cup of milk in there, and it'll actually make the color look real nice. Once your sauce is like a pinkish color like this, we're gonna come back in with some Italian seasoning. Be generous. And then we're gonna stir that and cover it and let it sit. Once you have your seasoning well incorporated into the sauce, You want to cover it and let all those flavors blend for about like 3 to 5 minutes. After you let your mixture sit for a bit, it should come to a boil. You want to come in with about 3 servings of Parmesan cheese. Should look a little something like this. You want to mix that cheese in, get it nice and well incorporated, then cover it again, let it sit for around another minute or so just so the cheese can melt. Then you want to bring it down to a low heat, add the lid, and let it sit while that cheese melts for just about a minute. This is already cooked. We're just, gonna let it all blend together now. Once that comes to a boil again, that's it. All there's left to do is stir and serve. So here's your meal prep for the week. You could pack this up, keep it in the fridge, and cook some pasta and put it over it. So basically, you just want to take some cooked pasta, throw the sauce on top, just like so. Once you have something like this, I just take a little bit of Parmesan cheese, sprinkle it over the top, and that's it. There's your high protein, relatively low fat dinners for like at least a week. Lastly, I'll divide the sauce up into a couple separate containers so I could choose to refrigerate or freeze it, for another day. And for me, I'm gonna refrigerate all this sauce and I'll just use it for the rest of the week. And that's my healthy dinners and healthy meals for the rest of the week. Along with the bolognese, I'm gonna have some air fried mozzarella sticks. I love these. I feel like they're a great compromise between healthy and unhealthy foods. They're pretty high in protein because they're mozzarella cheese, which is one of the healthier cheeses. They're relatively high in fat, but equivalent to the protein with just a little bit of carbs. And if you air fry it, it's not that bad, and they taste great. Right after the gym, mind you. I'm eating some pho. Good for the soul. Good for the soul right here. Look at that. Some noodles. This is healthy though. So we're getting all different types of beef, all different cuts of beef. And this broth is made fresh from beef bone. It's really good for your body. Lots of good micronutrients in here from all that red meat. Lots of protein. Go. So, for me, I think that fast food's a special treat. I don't like to eat fast food all the time, but when I do, I typically go for something like Wendy's. I like Wendy's. I like Sonic. I'm kind of weird. I don't really like McDonald's and stuff. I don't like Burger King because, Burger King puts bad oil in their food and stuff. But anyway, for me, the biggest key with cardio is treating yourself. So I like to do enough cardio in my day and get in some exercise so that I can eat something that's not necessarily healthy, but something that I'm definitely going to enjoy. So I'm about to enjoy this Wendy's. I got some French fries. I got lots of stuff. Chicken sandwich. I'm excited. But I don't always eat this way. The key is balance. So I eat healthy in the morning. I focus on high protein, low fat breakfast. And then in the afternoon, I can ball out, I could have some crazy food. I can have some healthy food and just mix it up. And sometimes I can have something that I know is really not that good for me, but I'm craving it. I want to have it, so I'm going to get it because I earned it. The key is that you got to earn it. That's it. Next time, come join me to talk about the importance of rest and recovery.